Welcome. I'm Richard Clarke. I'm hosting this satsang. I've followed Ramana Maharshi since 1990. I took satsang for many years from one of the finest teachers of Ramana, Nome of SAT in Santa Cruz, California. I've offered this kind of satsang for more than 10 years, first in India and now in Mexico. I'm just a seeker like you, sharing what we love. I have been blessed with many years of deep teaching and practice. That's why I offer these satsangs. This series is a paragraph by paragraph review of Ramana's seminal book, Who Am I? The all-text version, which is the only one that was actually edited by Ramana himself. Now, this is a Ramana Maharshi self-knowledge satsang. The focus is on self-knowledge, since self-knowledge is what brings self-realization, the deep experiential knowledge of your own existence. So, know yourself and be always free and at peace. This week, we'll look into paragraph 10, Ramana's words. The first and foremost thought that arises in the mind is the I thought. It is only after the rise or origin of the I thought that innumerable other thoughts arise. In other words, only after the first personal pronoun I has arisen do the second and third personal pronouns you, he, etc. occur to the mind. They cannot subsist without the former. Now, all thoughts are built upon one thought. This one thought is the I thought. I am an individual. First rises the I thought. Then comes the thought of others and the world. Thoughts then have their source as their source, the first thought, the I thought. So really, to put an end to thoughts, you don't need to eliminate every thought you might ever have. You only need to eliminate one thought, the first thought, the I thought. Eliminate the I thought by discovering that it never existed to start with. It's only imagination. This makes it easier. You don't need to stop all thoughts. This is a key point in Ramana's teachings. Just inquire into the source for this I thought. That's all that is needed. Now, here are some things you might do for practice. An exercise we were given at a retreat was to catch a thought, any thought, and take that thought apart to see how it is based upon the I thought. This might be worthwhile for you to try. One thing you may notice is that every thought has as its base I. Ways to tell the I thought? Well, if the view is one that in any way is of an individual, particular person in this or that time or place, then it's based on the I thought. Now to our videos for the week. First is Swami Sarvapryananda. This dynamic young Swami is head of the New York Vedanta Society, and his video is entitled, "Who is the Witness of the Mind?"
We have several questions prompted by your lectures on Drisha Viveka. The first one is from Manju. According to the Drisha Viveka, the mind is observed and I, the witness, consciousness, am the observer. Hence the mind is the object and I am the subject. But without the mind, this knowledge of object and subject cannot take place. Does this mean that the mind is the subject and object at the same time? It contradicts the principle of observer and observed being separate as per Drisha Viveka.
Okay. Manju, you have put the question very well. It's a good question. If you think seriously about these things, this question has to come. You know what the question consists of? Drisha Viveka says the observer and the observed are separate. Clearly, it works very well when you say, the first verse of the Drisha Viveka says, the world of forms is the observed and the eyes are the observer and they are separate. That's different, this is different. Clear enough. The eyes are the observed. You know, your eyes are open, closed, you need glasses, all these things you know. Who knows? The mind knows. And the eyes and the mind are separate. You are the mind watching the eyes. Clear enough. Then third stage, the mind is also the observed. You know when you are happy, you know the misery, you know that you understand, you know that you do not understand, you know that you can remember, you know that you cannot remember. All of the activities of the mind are clearly evident to something within you. So that something is the witness of the mind, and the mind is something separate from the witness. You are the witness of the mind, and through the mind, the witness of the body, and through the mind and the body, witness of the world. Okay, this is what the first verse says. Now here, a discerning person will say, hold on. Eyes are separate from the object, clear enough. Okay. One step back. Eyes are separate from the mind. Eyes are a different entity. Mind is a different entity. Clear enough. Because the mind observes the eyes. But the thoughts of the mind are evident to me. Isn't it the mind itself observing the mind? Why are you saying that there is a witness apart from the mind? Right? That's the question. It's an important question. If you actually understand the question, you are halfway towards enlightenment. And if you get the answer to the question, you are enlightened. Listen to this carefully. The mind can observe the mind. Why? How? You see, what's the function of the mind? What's the function of the eyes? To see. What's the function of the ears? To hear. What's the function of the mind? To think. The eyes see. See what? Forms. The ears are used to hear. Hear what? Sounds. The mind is used to think. Think what? Think about anything. The mind can think about the world. It can think about you. It can think about this place. But the mind can also think about other thoughts. I am so unhappy. Now I am stewing in my own unhappiness. That unhappiness is where? In the mind. And when I reflect upon my unhappiness, mind is thinking about the unhappiness. The mind itself thinks about the unhappiness in the mind. So the one thought is thinking about another thought. Are you with me so far? This is called introspection. It's called introspection. And remember, it's a function, a capacity of the mind. It can think about the world outside. It can think about the mind itself. Mind can think about other parts of the mind. One thought thinking about one thought being about another. Thoughts are always about something. That something could be external, it could be internal also. When it is internal, the word you use is introspection. I'm introspecting. I'm looking into the contents of my mind. It is mind-watching mind, clearly. It's one of the functions of the mind. But note that you are not always introspecting. Are you always looking into the contents of your mind? You understand the question? Sometimes you are absorbed in the world. When you are watching an absorbing game, when you are listening to an absorbing talk, you are not looking into the thoughts in your mind. You should be absorbed in the object. And somebody is performing, skilled surgeon is performing a difficult operation for hours together. The mind is completely absorbed in the action. He better not be introspecting. Yeah. What are my feelings like? Am I watching the breath? No. Keep your mind on the operation. Okay, now we are ready to answer the question. When you are not introspecting, that means when your mind is thinking about something outside, other than your mind, absorbed in something outside. This experience, did you experience it or not? You're not thinking about it, but did you experience it or not? Now there'll be a sound. Did you hear it? Now when you think that I heard it, you're getting a memory and thinking about it. But when you heard it directly, it was a direct conscious experience, right? Were you thinking about it in your mind? No. You heard it directly as a conscious experience. Your mind recognized it as a sound of clapping. And then when you look inside, okay, I remember I just experienced the Swami clapping his hands. That's the mind thinking about another thought. In both these cases, there is experience. Something is experiencing these things. When the mind is looking and thinking about things in the world, it is experienced. By what? When the mind is thinking about another thought, both of these are experienced. By what? Do you see? That one is the witness. That one is not the mind thinking about the mind. Mind thinking about the mind is one capacity of the mind. It's called introspection. But the witness is what illumines when the mind is not thinking about the mind, a sudden experience of the clap of a sound, yes. Then when you think about that experience of hearing a clap, mind is thinking about the mind, that is also illumined by the same witness. What is that witness?
And now we will watch a Mooji video. Mooji is maybe the most popular teacher of Advaita today. We took satsang with him many times when we were in India. The video is I is a thought.
So this I, the I that says, I am this person, is a thought. What recognizes this thought is recognized in the space of the I amness, that detached intelligence that observes. Prior to this I amness, meaning earlier than I amness, does that exist? Is it possible to be witnessing your I amness just like now you know you're conscious? Now you know you're conscious. Now you say this is the waking state. Something is observing the waking state, including the sense of myself moving in the waking state, is also known. Very subtle. Is it clear for you? These things you can contemplate. These are what also all those who have gone beyond, they have contemplated just these little questions. They didn't know 101 things, just this question I'm pointing. The sense I, watch it. Watch the sense I and see what grows out of it. And whatever is growing out of the I, don't follow it. Watch the one who watches this I that is growing. Just do this. If you've got even the shortest attention span, you can do this. I don't ask you to go and learn and spend so much time studying, but you can focus on one thing. The way of the mind is to study many things. The way of the beingness is to focus on one thing. Focus on one thing, the most intimate, which is the feeling I. Hold this I. Watch it. Watch if anything grows out of it. Not just watch it with these fleshly eyes. Watch it with your being. Hold the sense I am. It is there. Feel it. Don't try and push it about. Watch this sense I am. Huh? See what comes out of it, what it shows of itself. Is it a person? Is it an object? If you come to see that it's not a person, it's not an object, you may even find that the I am is the one who is looking and not the one who is looked at, and that the one who is looked at is only an idea about I am. Are these words too many, or is there something in it? It's only important just to see this and stop speculating about the rest. Allow some room for some surprise. Don't speculate and anticipate and expect and, oh yes, it's not on my checklist, and forget about this. Hold on only to that sense I am, and don't allow it to wander off into some other direction. Hold that sense. Whatever wanders off, let it wander off, but remain in the sense I am. Don't let it, you'll see this. If the I amness is going, what is watching the I amness go? Be there. Stay only there. Don't walk 1 meter or 2 meters or 3 meters away. Stay only here. Whatever is walking is not you. You're watching this sense of walking. What I'm sharing with you, there's not more you need to know than this, because I'm not asking you to learn this. We are sharing an exploration, an introspection together, and so the fruits of that introspection is right now, you can see.
And now we will watch Nome. Nome was my teacher for many years. Meditate as he speaks. He wants you to experience what he's talking about. Experience it, not just think about it. This video is You Are the Self.
Sri Bhagavan instructs again and again that you are the self. What is truly the meaning of this? He and the Shastras declare that the self is of the nature of Satchidananda, being, consciousness, bliss. The Upanishads speak of Brahman as Satyam Shivam, Satyam Jnanam Anantam, the true, the knowledge, the infinite. And go on to describe such as unborn, imperishable, unconditioned, without change, without multiplicity, devoid of bondage, free of illusion, and so forth and so on. And then they say of this Brahman, I am Atma Brahman. This self is Brahman. And Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. And by way of instruction, Tattvamasi, that you are. What does it mean? You are the self, you are Brahman. Is it to be thought that you, as a limited embodied individual entity, are Brahman? Or rather, does it mean that you in your real existence, bodiless, mind transcendent, egoless, birthless, deathless, changeless, pure existence, are Brahman? When it is said that the knower of Brahman becomes Brahman, the knower of the self is the self, is it to be conceived that the individual, the separated mind, becomes the Brahman self? Or rather, does it mean the one solitary knower of the nature of pure, infinite, unalloyed, undifferentiated consciousness realizes the knowledge and is what is realized? When the truth is declared that you are the eternal, you are the infinite, can it refer to a body? Can it refer to the senses? Can it refer to the collection of thoughts constituting the mind? Can it possibly refer to any individuality whatsoever? Or rather, does it refer to pure existence, free of the least notion of particularization, individuality, or any kind of differentiation? When it is declared that the real nature of the jiva is the Supreme Self, is it to be construed that the individual somehow is the Supreme Self too, maybe part of it, or something similar? Or rather, does it mean that right where in imagination, in ignorance, jivatva, individuality, was imagined, there exists only unqualified, undivided, absolute being? Similarly, when the Shastras declare that all this is Brahman, does it mean all the objects are somehow Brahman? The same scriptures declare the universe to be an illusion, completely unreal. Are they contradicting themselves? No, that's not possible. Rather, does it mean just where one thinks, one perceives an externalized world, a differentiated universe, there actually exists only one undivided Brahman, the vast absolute existence. When it is said that all this is illusion, is it to be supposed that illusion actually exists? Or is the intention in the statement something far more profound, in which illusion is impossible? Again, similarly, when the Maharshi declares that the eternal self is now also, is it to be supposed that the illusory now moment perpetually repeats itself indefinitely? Or rather, does it mean the eternal exists always, without past, present, or future? And that alone exists. In short, we should understand and not misunderstand. To understand clearly, you must know yourself. What is yourself? The not-self will not be able to realize it, for such is inert and actually unreal. Self-knowledge is self-luminous and is in and for and by the self alone. Inquire as to your nature. Start with your very sense of existence and inquire to determine what in truth that is. Since it is evident that you cannot be a thought, the inquiry should be mind transcendent right from the beginning. Who am I? Turn inward in quest of the answer. The answer is non-objective. Your very existence, the nature of your consciousness, is the answer. Determine within yourself what the nature of your consciousness, your existence is. If this inquiry is thorough, deep, and constant, Brahman knows Brahman. The self reposes in itself and abides as the one reality without a second. If you suppose the self to be limited by some name and form, that is, by some conception or perception, how this is so will seem an enigma. But it will be self-evident if you inquire and determine what the self is, free of the least trace of misidentification. Bhagavan keeps telling us, you are the self. What is the self? It refers to your existence, but what is that? Trace your sense of identity inward and find. You are the self. Who is the you in that statement? You are the self, he instructs. Who is the you that is the instructed? If you inquire deeply into this, the instruction will be well understood. If that is understood, there is the perfect fullness of immutable peace.
All right, now we'll take a few minutes and meditate, inquire ourselves. First, just notice that you exist. You exist and you know that you exist. It doesn't require thoughts or senses. You exist when you're not thinking or when you're not sensing anything. You exist and you know that you exist. Knowing this, you are already deeper than the mind or the senses. And now inquire, where does this sense of I arise? This sense of I is I am this individual. Where does it come from? Is it from the body? Is there some part of the body that is you? You know the body. Does the body know you? How about the senses? Do the senses say I? Do you exist when there are no senses? You know your senses. The senses can't be who you are. How about the prana, the life force that pulses through your body, the heartbeat, the breath going in and out? Is that where this sense of I comes from? You know your breath. Does your breath know you? How about your mind now? Is there any thought that is you, or combination of thoughts that is you? You're the witness of the thoughts. You cannot be a thought. You know the thoughts. No thought knows you. Are you a thought? How about the intellect that takes the thoughts and weaves ideas from them? One of these ideas that are woven from these thoughts is the idea of I, the idea of this individual. Do you know this sense of I, the individual? then it's not you. Has there ever been a moment when you didn't feel this sense of I am an individual, like in last night's sleep? Did you stop existing then? Your mind stopped. Did your existence stop? So, if I am not the body, if I'm not the senses, if I'm not the life force, if I'm not thoughts, if I'm not the intellect, then who am I? What is the nature of my existence? All right, now let's close with a short chant. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Well, thank you for watching. If this satsang was of interest to you, I have more resources for you, a free book site, a YouTube site, and my blog. The URLs will be on the screen next. There will be more of these satsangs in the coming weeks as we continue with this series based on the Ramana book, Who Am I? Thank you for letting me share this teaching with you.